Good morning. My mic is working for now. We'll see how long that lasts. But it is good to be with you. This is our final session for the Connect experience in terms of like the formal class sessions, and a little bit later on we'll talk about kind of what to expect for next weekend for those who are going to be received as members of the congregation. We will have for everybody at this time next week a reception. So following the 9:15 service here from 10:15 for the discipleship time, we'll invite you to come back and join us. We'll want to have an opportunity for maybe new folks to come in and who haven't met our newest members to get to know you a little bit better. So there'll be some in addition to the donuts, some punch and some other things I believe as well. So we're looking forward to celebrating that. But before we do anything else, let's open with prayer. God of grace, we thank you for this community that you have connected us with here at Emmanuel. We thank you even more that you connect with us through your son, Jesus. We pray that you would bless our conversations today as we learn and grow as disciples, as people who are shaped for life with you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so how much did you guys get through with Pastor Richard last weekend in looking at witness and things? I wasn't here. I wasn't either. Maybe we should do it. We should do it all again. Um, okay. Well, no. Here's what. So today we're going to be doing some wrap up. I want to make sure we have time for kind of an open Q&A kind of thing as well. If there was anything in particular that you wanted to kind of explore a little bit more through the weeks that we've been together here. But before we do that, I wanted to give you all the opportunity for an exercise. All right. So for this exercise, you're going to need to pair up with somebody who is not your spouse. All right, laying the ground rules here. And this is going to be something that the reason we're doing this is that we're thinking about those things we talked about last week with how we communicate our faith, how we share our faith. And when you think about this, you're going to be working with somebody else and you're going to switch. Okay, so we're going to have about 5 minutes or so for each of you to kind of do role A or role B. And the context here is that you're going to be you will be speaking to somebody somebody who's a coworker, a friend, something like this, but with whom you have some sort of existing relationship, and they are going to ask you, "Hey, tell me what you believe. Tell me why do you believe this?" Because when we're thinking about sharing our faith, an illustration I like to use is imagine that you are, you'll say you're in downtown Chicago, okay, and you're walking along Michigan Avenue, and you're stopping and you look at something in one of the windows, and then all of a sudden you hear this voice come up that says, hey Claudia, hi, and you turn around, and it's like it's your best friend from high school. Like, you didn't know they were still alive, but okay. And they're saying, hey, you want to come and join me for lunch today? What are you probably going to say? Sure. Like, even if you have plans, you think, okay, well, maybe I can adjust things around so I can spend some time here because you've got that kind of existing relationship, right? If, second scenario, you're walking down Michigan Avenue, you're stopping, looking in the window, you say, hey, there's somebody's calling you, and maybe they know your name, maybe they don't. You turn around, you have never seen this person before ever. And they say, hey, you want to go to lunch with me? What's your reaction probably going to be? Bye-bye. Yeah, I say, no, thank you. Because you do not have that relationship. It's a strange thing. And you don't know if you can trust this person. You don't know what their agenda is. So we're thinking about this in the context of how we're speaking our faith. If somebody asks you, for some reason, they want to know what you believe or what your faith is, they're doing so because there is some sort of relationship there, okay? And they're not looking for you to sell them anything. Because as Christians, we don't need to be Jesus salespeople, right? Jesus does not need salespeople. But we get to speak out what we believe. And Scripture says, always be ready, always be prepared with a defense, with a way to give voice to the faith that is within you. So I'm going to ask you to pair up now with somebody who's not your spouse. So if you're at a table, with odd numbers, you might have to mix it up a little bit here. but we're going to have about 5 minutes or so for each person. So the first time, if you somebody's person A, somebody's person A, you get to be yourself. All right, you get to be yourself. Person B, and who's the person who's going to start the conversation, they will be asking, and you get to person B, you get to use your own words, asking about what this other person A, believes or why they believe it, and have it be a conversation. This is not a monologue kind of thing. It's like, well, I've got this pre-scripted elevator presentation here. Let me read it to you. It's like, well, no, ask questions. Don't be afraid to kind of probe a little bit. So tell me more about this. And the reason we're doing this now is because we as Christians don't often think about this. It's like, oh yeah, it's great to tell people about Jesus and share your faith, but we don't get much practice in it generally. I mean, some people maybe are more so than others do this, and depending on if maybe you're introvert, extrovert, people maybe have an inclination or something. But regardless, all of us has this connection with Jesus, and this is an opportunity to maybe do this now, maybe brush off some dust or break up the ice and kind of get the gears going so that in the future, should you have this opportunity, you can think, oh, hey, this is not the first time I've ever done this. So go ahead, pick up person A, person B. Now pair up, pair up, pair up, pair up. All right. And this is not a telepathic exercise. And this is not about trios. So pair up. All right. And the clock will be starting here in about 10 seconds. All right. Begin. Your clock is running. Okay, if you have not done so, go ahead and switch. So person A becomes person B, person A. So if you were asking before, you are now telling, speaking. If you were speaking before, you are now asking. So go ahead and switch. About 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. About 30 seconds left. 30 seconds. Go ahead and wrap up if you can. Okay, let's come back together. And now I'm curious about the experiences you had because it sounded like there were a lot of good conversations going on out there. So think about this from when you were person A, when you were yourself answering the questions, kind of by show of hands here, on a scale from the most difficult thing ever to like, oh, that was no big deal. Kind of where'd you think you fell? Is like the most difficult thing ever. Kind of like, yeah, a little bit mid grade. And it was easy. A lot of people not committed at all here. Okay, not easy. Okay, okay. What? And if you actually are, if you actually know somebody, that's even easier. So think about this. It's in the context of, if somebody's actually asking you, chances are they really want to know what you believe or what it is your opinion is on this. Because if you are, so you're yourself, right? If you're responding to that, well, yeah. If somebody's asking, you want to genuinely care about them. You want them to kind of know what you believe or why you believe it. So um, as you were doing that, hopefully that was maybe a good reminder for you, not just for the things we've been talking about as we've been going through this connect experience, but a way that you're thinking, oh yeah, no, this is something that is about life, because that's what we here at Emmanuel, we want you to understand, that this faith that we have, this is not about being a country club, right? If you came here looking to join a country club, you're in the wrong place. There's one up the street, but an actual country. I'm not talking about another church, but yes, this is about your life, about equipping you for life, about, like we say, being connected to Christ for life. Um, so hopefully that was a helpful thing, and maybe you want to try this again with your friends and family. I know it's like not a party game or something, but see what you do. So as we move into kind of the rest of this final session, this is going to be a little bit more, yeah. And questions are good. Be careful with that one. Yeah, 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 yeah. You kind of can drop your guard, right? You don't. Yeah. hmm and with that, a helpful thing with that is that if you're not thinking about yourself and kind of you're setting aside your ego, right? You're concerned about how they're viewing me. You can just be honest and say, hey, this is what God has done for me in Christ, and I care about you, and I'm not trying to sell anything. It's authenticity, right? Um, so I hope this is something that's a helpful exercise. Now we're going to talk about a few things, because again, I want to make sure we have time for some questions, answers, if there are other things that you all want to cover. But first, practical matters. Looking ahead to next weekend with the reception of new members, that'll take place as part of the 9:15 service next weekend. So if you are being received into membership, we invite you to be here a little bit early. We will have an actual. I'm trying to remember exactly how we have this. I think we have like a printed sheet that you will have that's got the whole reception of membership right on it. If not, it'll be printed in the worship folder. But so you'll have that, and we'll invite you at one point later in the service to come forward, and you'll do it as a group, so you don't have to worry about being singled out or anything. So we'll bring you forward there. We'll have that back and forth response. I'm actually going to be at North next weekend, so it'll be Pastor Richard who will be leading it. But we'll have that. It's very low key. Don't worry about it. We're not going to make you recite the 95 Theses or anything. If anybody can do that, let me know, though. That could be a fun thing for later. But we'll have that, and then we invite you to turn, face the congregation, and then invite people to the reception, which will be in here at the 10:15 time. It's just as a social time. There's nothing really particularly formal about it, but we invite you to come and be a part of that and help to uh, connect some names and faces together. So that's that. Any questions on that part of things? If you have not yet done so, we do have copies of the class form up here. So if we could have every spouse fill that out, and if you have kids, we have a separate form for if you have any children in your family. Just we have all that updated in our church records there. Um, Moving on to the next thing, you're also going to have access. I don't know if we've already set you up. You might already have had this, but with Church Community Builder or CCB, that is what we have as our church kind of internal community. It's online secure community. You got to log in for it. You can go in and do all kinds of things. So any groups that you're a part of, you can have separate message groups there. You can have your personal information is on there. You can generate your own giving statement. Not you're making it up. That's not what I'm saying. But on demand, you can get your giving statement. So for next year, for tax purposes, all that stuff's accessible there. If you ever want to have meetings here, this is your congregation. This is your space. So if you want to have a gathering here with other people from the congregation, Bible study, whatever, you can go in through CCB and you can reserve rooms and request that. You can see the calendars. It's pretty neat. If you don't have online access or kind of a little less familiar with those kinds of things, you can call Ann in the church office, and she can do that for you. Similarly, if you want to have like a family gathering or something like that and want to use the fellowship hall, you can do that. We don't charge a rental fee. This is your congregation. We just have kind of an agreement form for people to fill out to make sure that everything gets tidied up and all that. Similarly, we have a beautiful space up at Timber Lane, which we might have signs on by next weekend. I don't know. We'll see. That's kind of exciting. Maybe for me more so than you, but that's coming up. It's a beautiful space. If you ever want to use that for function or something, it's there as well. So that's that. We do have a midweek email that goes out. We call it the main thing being Jesus. That's going out on Wednesday. Actually, no, sorry, Thursdays now. We send that out with kind of a summary of things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. You can sign up for that, I think, via our website, which our website's just about to get revamped too, as I understand it. So all kinds of things happening around here. Any questions on any of those things? If you have not already been contacted by, you'll probably be contacted by the church office, probably Maria, who's our bookkeeper, to set you up for offering envelopes. We have this set up so that we do it on a quarterly basis. So whenever the next quarter is, you can get your own offering envelopes sent to you. If you don't want to use printed envelopes and want to use electronic giving, just let Maria know, and you can do that right away. So it's actually less expensive for us to do this quarterly thing where everybody gets individual things than have a big box that's set out. Maybe some other places you've been at the beginning of the year, you pick up your big tray of, or you see the big trays of offering envelopes and you can get those. But so that's a practical matter there too. I'm trying to think. I think that's all the things on the practical side for right now. If you do have questions about any of these other things, please feel free to ask us later on. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Now, this is the boring history part of the Connect experience. You guys ready for it? Excited? Fantastic. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of context here, we are part of this church body we call the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. Used to be the Synod of Missouri, Ohio, and other states, and was in German and all this other stuff. But if we look back far enough, this is a collection of churches, congregations that got together following immigration of German Lutherans from Saxony in Germany and connected with others who are already here in the Americas. We are headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri. The International Building, I keep wanting to call it the nickname for it is the Purple Palace because it's this purple glass structure there in St. Louis. But we have roughly 6,000 congregations nationwide. Those congregations are gathered together in what we call districts. We have 36 geographic districts, I want to say, different parts of the country together. We're part of the Northern Illinois district, which you might be surprised to learn is the northern part of Illinois. There you go. There's actually three districts in Illinois: Central and Southern. Um, and each of those districts is then subdivided into what we call circuits. And our circuit here is part of the greater Rockford area is a good way of thinking it. So we're about as far east as you can go in our circuit, and it goes all the way west to Pecatonica. I guess I should be doing that the other way, all the way west to Pecatonica. So we have good relationships with our fellow congregations here in the circuit. We're looking to do again this Lent a round robin kind of preaching rotation for our midweek Lenten services with other circuit congregations. So the pastors are going to each congregation and kind of preaching a different sermon there, which was a good experience last year. I thought it was. I don't know about you guys, but we're going to do it again. So that's that. We have our church body. We elect a president. Reverend Dr. Matthew Harrison was reelected as our president at the Synod convention. The Synod meets in convention every 3 years. It was 4 years this year because of the pandemic, and I think this is probably the last time that Pastor Harrison is going to be running. Yeah. No, the Synod convention. I went as our circuit's pastoral delegate. Each circuit for the convention every 3 years or 4 years in this case sends one pastoral delegate and one lay delegate. So I was elected by our circuit meeting together to go and be our pastoral delegate. So there were about 1,000 or so people up in Milwaukee for the convention, representing most circuits represented there. You also had people from the Council of Presidents. We have in our district, we have a district president, Reverend Alan Buss, who is the previous pastor here at Emmanuel. The district office is located at Concordia University in Chicago now. So it's a kind of a building right there on campus, which worked out well from a good stewardship perspective. So the district presidents are elected at our district conventions, which are 1 year off from the circuit one. Sorry, not circuit, synod. So we had about 1,000 people or so gathered there and had a whole bunch of things that went. I will not bore you with all that, but I can provide a report if you would like at some point in the future. So that's our church body. We are what we call a congregational polity, so kind of grassroots. That way we're bottom up as opposed to top down. So every congregation has the ability to call a church worker, and as we walk together, synod comes from the Greek of syn oidon, walking together. We have a pool of workers, which we call rostered workers, pastors, ordained workers, and then non-ordained commissioned workers, so DCEs, teachers, and others who serve in the field. There's a whole thing we can go through call processes and stuff like that, but most of the time congregations don't have to worry about that until you have a vacancy or you have a new position that comes up. So we have a lot of workers here at Emmanuel between our ordained staff and then the rest of our workers. But we have a really good team here. We're blessed with that. So any questions on kind of that historical synod structure? You probably will never need to know these things until I tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, you want to go be our delegate for something? You're like, yes, that sounds exciting. It's actually, it's pretty good stuff. So any questions there? Okay. All right. Well, now that I think I have checked off all the stuff that I was supposed to check off, we now have about 10 minutes or so for any follow-up questions or things like that you have from any things that came up during Connect that you maybe wanted to spend a little more time on, any questions on anything of that sort. Anybody want to kick us off? You don't get out early, just in case you were wondering. That's... Yeah. What's happening after next week here? That is a fantastic question. I do not yet have the answer. So we will be, actually, no, I take that back. I do have an answer for after next week. So next week, we will have the reception that's here. The following week, which is going to be the weekend after Thanksgiving, we will have an intergenerational event happening here in the fellowship hall for giving plates, not for giving, giving plates is what we're going to be doing. This is something that Angie, who's our new director of youth discipleship, um, had told me about. And it's going to be kids and adults getting together. So whether or not you have your own kids here, it's okay. You can still come. We're going to be crafting these plates that you're going to then be taking out into your families for use and Thanksgiving. It's some neat stuff that goes with it. So and I think there might be more in the connector this weekend talking about that. So that's that. And then after that, we're going to be into the season of Advent. It's coming. So for that, let's see, is 2 or 3 weeks. I'm trying to remember in terms of how it falls. We will have an Advent-based study here as we gather. Then in January, I do not know yet. I have not got that together. We do so you all are kind of having this on your calendars. Christmas falls on a Monday this year, so our Christmas Eve thing will be a little bit different since that's a Sunday. That Saturday and Sunday we're going to have fourth Sunday of Advent, and that's the Saturday service is regular. The Sunday morning service, we're just going to have one combined service at 10 o'clock that day. So we will not have a discipleship gathering that Sunday morning. But that will still be the fourth Sunday in Advent. Okay? So everybody can wait for Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, we're going to have three services, one at 4, one at 7, one at 10. So we'll have all that happening there. And then Christmas Day, Monday, there'll be one service at 10 a.m. I know it's a lot. It's all going to be printed out in the worship folders and everything, so you'll have plenty of advance notice. But just so you know, that no discipleship window on Sunday morning on the 24th. The following weekend on the weekend of New Year's Eve, we'll have a regular worship schedule, but nothing New Year's Eve for service. So in the past, sometimes we've done a service for the turning of the year. We will not, since that'll be on Sunday the 31st. We'll have parts of that as part of the regular worship that weekend. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. I can try. Claudia will keep me honest here. So if I get any of this wrong. So you will have if you get a printed offering envelope, there will be some different color envelopes there. The regular envelope that you get, I think might be blue. We do online giving. There you go. I'm colorblind, so it doesn't really help me. So it's blue. Okay. Blue I'm generally good with. So that one is what we call our Christ for Life fund. Christ for Life is our general operating fund. That is the biggest thing that we have. That is what basically we use for all ministry here. So in addition to paying the staff and salaries and keeping the lights on, it goes to fund any of the general budgeted ministry stuff that we do. So Christ for Kids, even partnerships that we have with some outside organizations that like Helping Hands. That's all part of the kind of that general operating fund. So there's that. Then in addition to that, we have what we call Mission in Action. And Mission in Action is kind of the over and above giving. So you have your regular offering, and if you want to give above and beyond that, you can give it to Mission in Action, and that goes to a few different things, like 4 areas. One is Mission in Action kind of globally, so not just outside our congregation, but outside our borders of our nation here. A lot of that goes to help our mission in Belize. We have Mission in Action Local, which is helping out from organizations here in the community, but also helps to support our district, the LCMS Northern Illinois District, and Synod at large, seminaries, things there. We have the, what's the other part of it? All right, Claudia, I'm blanking. There are the 2 other parts. Is the school is part of it, and that's kind of like over and above giving. And then there's a 4th one. This is going to bug me, but yes, I can find out. But that's the over and above with that. Then there's another thing called Mission Partnerships, which I think there's a once a month envelope in there too. And Mission Partnerships are specifically things that we do with some organizations like Lutheran Church Charities with Comfort Dogs, with Rockford Lutheran School, um, and there's I think one or two other things that are part of that we regularly budget. Was there and send missions? Okay, so with the LCMS, because we do have missionaries that we support from the congregation. So the Clousing family, you guys know them? Yeah. Okay. Actually, Pastor Clousing was here just a few, like 2 months ago. Is that about right? Yeah. And they're based in Tanzania, right? And serve out there. So that's a way that we kind of support there. So that's kind of all the different ways that's given, and we're working to update our website and the online giving portal too. So there's a little more information from, especially if you don't know what's Christ for Life, what's Mission in Action. Like those both sound good. So yeah, but Christ for Life is the big general operating fund. Any other questions? This is good stuff. Stuff I don't normally think about like having on the agenda here, but yeah. Okay. All right. One other thing, and I will let you go a little early here. Next weekend we will have a couple different things. One, it's the conclusion of our fall reboot focus. So if you have not yet done so, I encourage you to pick up one of these cards for your household. We're encouraging everybody as part of intentional and deliberate discipleship to reflect on how God is calling you to thankful, generous living in the context of our congregation, in your family, in the community around you. And so I invite you to take one of these cards if you've not yet done so, fill it out, and you bring back that top portion in worship next weekend. And you can do it anonymously in terms of like you don't write your name or anything on it, but you'll have an opportunity as part of the worship service to bring that forward and present it at the altar as an act of worship, as thinking about your discipleship, especially as you're thinking about, okay, well, I'm a member of this community. What does that look like? So there's that. Also, following, because you will be officially members of the congregation, for those of you that are not yet, we invite you to come and join us for our annual fall congregational meeting, which will be at 1:00. It happening in the sanctuary. We're going to have a number of updates about where things are at in the life of the congregation, operational finance things, what all is going on with the school, new ministry things that are happening, service opportunities, kind of our vision for the years ahead. Lots of good stuff. So do please come and be there for part of that. So our own Michael Yates will be leading the meeting there as our vestry chair. And the agenda, as I've seen it, comes in at 59 minutes. We'll see. That's how it's printed. Yes. Will there be childcare? That is a fantastic question. I do not know, but we need to figure that out like right quick. So we will check on that and make sure it's published this in advance of the meeting, because we will send out a message about the meeting to the congregation. Okay. Anything else? Go in peace.